Okay, good afternoon, everyone. My name is Frank Golden, as a lot of you may know if you were here this morning when I spoke. I am the founder and the program director of Golden Surrogacy, and we are located here in Chicago. We are specializing right now in matching intended parents with gestational surrogates. And the first question that I want to answer before anyone asks is, are we an all-inclusive agency? Do we do everything all in one shot? We recruit the gestational surrogates. We do not recruit egg donors directly. We work with a company that what they will do is they will get all of your requirements of what you're looking for in an egg donor, and they will reach out to all of the different egg donor agencies in the country and bring that back to you and say, here's a really good tailored list of 70 or 80 individuals that would meet your criteria. So it's a very good tailored experience. You're not sifting through a data bank of 500 or 1,000 women and none of them meet, and you're just throwing your hands up in the air. So it's a very good tailored experience as far as the egg donor side of it goes. And then we're already tailoring the experience as far as the gestational surrogate part of it goes. So with that said, we've only got 20 minutes, so I don't want to go through the entire process from beginning to end. I know you've been here a lot, probably most of the day, going through a lot of the different sessions. And so what I would like to do is just answer the questions that you have where there might be some knowledge gaps. So you guys can raise your hands or just call them out if you have anything that you'd like to know in general. Does anyone? No? No one has anything? Anything that basically from what you've read in our brochure or anything? No? Okay, so if you do have something as I'm talking, just raise your hand. Adam and I started our journey in 2011. We started researching in 2010, and we signed with an agency in 2011, and we went through that journey, and we had a daughter born in 2012, and she'll be 3. So we've gone through the entire process as intended parents, and it's really important because our perspective is from being gay intended parents. We went through the process. So we give you that perspective from an agency. We aren't an agency that has, 70 people working for us and you're going to have one coordinator dealing with, 20 or 30 different cases. I handle everything myself. Everything is a very tailored one-on-one personal experience. You have my cell phone number, my email address, everything is very one-on-one. So it's really dependent upon what type of experience you're looking for. If you look at the cost structure at the back of the brochure, we break down everything for you. And so the ballparks really are the ballparks. If you are in need of an egg donor and you're doing what we call a fresh cycle, you will spend somewhere between 100 and 130. What I can tell you is with my husband Adam and I, we spent about 132 for our daughter Sophia. So that is the ballpark, and we really break it down for you and show you what all of that entails and where you're spending your money. And a lot of it can vary, it depends on which clinic you sign with. Some clinics have programs that are $30,000 and $40,000 with all-inclusive and different packages. In some IVF clinics, you can pay as little as $12,000 or $15,000, and that's a really big chunk when you're budgeting. So it really depends who you sign with. Now, the average agency will have all around the same fee. It's usually somewhere in the ballpark of $20,000. So that's typically the same. What varies from agency to agency is really the type of experience you want. Do you want to go with the larger agency where you will be assigned to a case coordinator, or do you want to work directly one-on-one with the founder of the company and someone who's coming from your perspective? So it really depends on, again, your experience. Okay? And with me today, I've brought my surrogate, Adam and I surrogate, and we're in the midst of our most recent journey. We're working on a sibling for our daughter. So if any of you have questions for Janet, she can give you kind of some feedback from the perspective of a surrogate too. She's been a surrogate before, and now she's a surrogate with us. And so she's very knowledgeable as far as the entire process goes. So we thought it would be a good idea to bring her as well. So does anyone have anything? There has to be some questions out there.
You say you have experience being a surrogate. How's your experience with them now than before? Did you do it with a different company or similar?
I did work with a different company when I decided to, I have an accent by the way, so I don't know if you When I started looking for myself, I just kind of did a Google search, looked for some local Chicago companies because I wanted to stay local. I live just, an hour north of here. And it was basically the first person that I spoke to that I liked. I worked with them. And so I didn't know the process at all. I depended heavily on her to kind of guide me. And the relationship with that company really went south at the end. And so I kind of knew going in that this time round, I was going to find a company that I knew not necessarily hold my hand throughout the process, but I needed that communication. So I really sought out a company that I knew they were going to see me through the whole process. And then at the end of it, it was still like a friendship that we've developed. Now, I know that I wouldn't be caring for them, but
Right.
I wanted to make sure that I could call them anytime. If I had any questions, I text him at midnight sometimes, and he'll respond when he gets it. So I can't remember what I was saying, but I knew that I needed a more personal kind of touch this time around. I didn't just want to be part of a big company. Did that answer your question?
Yeah.
Anything else? Does anyone have any other questions for me or for Janet? There has to be something.
So around,
This process.
You guys been
Mhm.
open no more than 6 years?
2013
Oh,
is when we opened,
yeah.
is when we incorporated, yes.
Like how many cases have you guys done to baseline data?
So we have had over 14 matches. Babies, number 6 will be born in January. The ratio doesn't correlate because we don't just get gay couples that are using an egg donor that have perfect embryos. We do, have a lot of heterosexual couples who come on board and they're using genetic material that may not be adequate for the process. And so they may go through a cycle and it just doesn't work. But we have never had a match fall through. We have a 100% match rate, which means if you sign with the agency, we find you a surrogate that will meet all of the requirements of the IVF clinic, and you will go through that process, hopefully successfully. And we've never had a gestational surrogate be denied by a clinic. So our process is very stringent. Aside from what all of the other agencies do, the background checks and things of that nature, we receive all of the surrogate's medical records. So all the records from her primary care doctor, as well as her OB, and then as well as all of her previous pregnancy and delivery records. We receive all of that and have them reviewed by a reproductive endocrinologist who says, Frank, this person would be a great candidate, they can proceed. Okay? And then if you say, well, I'm working with this clinic, I send those records over to that clinic and they will look at it and based on paper say, yes, we agree this person can come in for the in-person screening. And so by following that process, we have never had anyone be denied. And so it's a very solid process. Okay. Does anyone have anything else?
Can you just
Sure.
emphasize again, you said you don't do the donor selection process? Or
Golden Surrogacy isn't the ones who go out and find the egg donor, but we work with the company that finds you the egg donor that fits all of your criteria. And you pay the same fee. So if you sign up with a different agency, they're going to charge you a $5,000 to $6,000 egg donor retainer fee. It's the same fee going through this other company that we work with, except you're receiving a more tailored selection of egg donors. You're not having to sit there in front of a database and go through 500 women and basically by the end be pulling your hair out and be confused. Adam and I have been there, we've done that, and it is just so daunting because you see all these women and you're like, well, that one looks smart, but I don't know, I really like this one, and you can spend days, weeks just going through some of these databases. And so what I like to do is really make it simple for you and give you people that will best fit your criteria the first time around. Okay? Does anyone have anything else?
When it comes to the legal part, I'm looking at your
Mm-hmm.
section. Do you guys have your own company lawyers, or do you refer to other lawyers?
No, so the way it works is everyone that works in reproductive law or in the reproductive consulting field, we all have a network of people. So in Illinois, there are some very good reproductive law attorneys that we use. We only like to use the best attorneys, the best clinics, because I'm the one coordinating everything. And to me, communication is key. If I email someone and I don't get a response back for 3 or 4 hours, or sometimes the next day, I won't work with them again. So coming from an intended parent perspective, when, for instance, we're doing contracts, I look for attorneys that have a very fast turnaround time and they're accurate. I don't want contracts coming back that they're not written to statute. We get them back, 5 days later or a week later, and then I have intended parents calling me saying, why is this taking so long? So there's a network. We don't recommend, I've had intended parents say, well, I have a friend who's an attorney, can they do it for me because it's going to be cheaper? And I don't recommend that. We only use attorneys that specialize in reproductive law. And that's very important because they write the contracts on a daily basis and they know that they have success of those contracts being approved in front of the judge when they go to get parentage. And that's very important. In a state like Illinois, when the attorney goes to get parentage granted, they send in the contracts and the judge will look and say, well, this complies with statutes, so this was done properly, and goes ahead and approves all of those affidavits. If things aren't done properly, things break apart and fall apart and you have more expensive legal fees. So we like to eliminate that. Again, everything I do is from the perspective of an intended parent because we've been there and we're in the midst of our third journey right now. So I know what you're going through, I know the shoes that you're in, and I know the expectations that you have. And so that's the whole reason why I even started my agency. I remember sitting there in the room holding Sophia when she was born, and I looked at Adam and said, everyone deserves a family, and that ends up being our slogan. And I said, I want to reach out and help others in our community. And that was way before we had gay marriage now. And so I'm very proud of the work that we do. And so every case, I give it my full heart, everything. I'm right there with you on the front lines. So.
Do you and your networks exclusively work with folks in Illinois, or is it throughout the country? Is it internationally?
Throughout the country. We don't work in states where surrogacy is going to be iffy. There are states where parentage can be granted if you jump through this hoop and that hoop and this hoop. And I don't want to do that. It's just, it complicates the process for you, for the surrogate, and then at the end it's like, did we dot all of our I's and cross all of our T's and will we have parentage? I don't like to do that. Illinois is a very safe bet. California is a very safe bet. You'll hear California bounced around a lot as far as the #1 surrogate choice. And what I will tell you is they have very good laws like Illinois, but because they are so popular for international clients, especially coming in on the West Coast, the surrogates know that too. And their compensation is a little more inflated. So if you are working with, for instance, a West Coast clinic and a West Coast surrogate, your fees will be a little more. Okay, so it's something to keep in mind when you're deciding where you would like your surrogate to be and where you would like your clinic to be. As far as an agency goes, our fees don't change, and we work with clients all around the country. Okay, we only recruit surrogates from surrogate-friendly states, but our clients can be anywhere. I've got a client in California, I've got 2 in New York right now, I've got 2 in Chicago right now, I've got 1 in Florida. So my clients can be anywhere in the country. That part doesn't matter. Okay. Any other questions? I know there's got to be something. The process is so daunting. There are so many moving parts to it.
And right here, do you online, do you have like a list of clinics and employers, or that's just confidential once you start the process, you find out what it is?
Once you start the process, we really like to talk with you and figure out, what's your budget? Where were you expecting the clinic to be? Some people come to us and they have a clinic in mind already, and some people come to us and say, well, who have you worked with in the past? Who do you have a good working relationship with? Because working with all these different clinics, I work directly one-on-one with the nurse coordinator, so I know a lot of them by name, and so I can give those recommendations. We don't post them on the website because there are so many good clinics that we could literally fill a whole web page with just names of clinics, and all that's going to do is confuse you. So I'd like to have those conversations over the phone. Any other questions? They say I have 3 minutes until the next one, but you're all more than welcome to stay for the next session. Anything else? Okay. I guess that's it. I just, in closing, Golden Surrogacy, again, keep in mind the fact that we're local, we're here in Chicago. We're more of a family organization from intended parents for intended parents, okay? And so we understand that perspective, and that's the tailored experience that you would get by working with Golden Surrogacy. Okay? Thank you.